Hey guys, today I got another disassembly video for you. This time we're going to be taking a look at a Century Arms AP53, which is an imported MKE Turkish-made HK53 clone. So let's get into it and see how this guy works. Alright guys, we can go ahead and start out by popping out our HK33 style magazine here, set that guy aside, and then this disassembly is going to be essentially the same as an MP5. So we have the one non-captive HK style push pin right here, and you can see we do have holes in the stock like the MP5 so that we can retain that pin. So we'll just slap that guy in there, and then we can go ahead and pull the buttstock off. Now there are some major differences between the Century Arms AP53 and the HK33 or 53, and the main one's going to be this recoil spring and guide rod. This is actually attached to the stock on the AP53. On the original HK guns, this was a separate part and it wasn't directly attached to it. But looking into the stock here, we can see we do have a buffer right there, and that's really all we need to do for the stock itself. Now coming back here, next step is going to be removing our trigger group. So we're going to have one more push pin here at the front on the AP53, and we can go ahead and retain this in the stock. It is a smaller diameter pin though, so just be aware it can just pop right out of there. And then we can just pull our trigger group right off the bottom of the receiver. Now the AP53 does come with a Navy style of trigger group, which is very, very nice. See a little MKE marking on here, and then we have the pictograms for safe, semi, 3-round burst, and for full auto. Of course, this is a semi-only gun, so it only goes to the semi-automatic position, and it is ambidextrous on both sides. A little bit tight on mine, that's one thing to be aware of, but other than that, it's very, very nice. If I put it in the semi position, I'll go ahead and release the hammer here. And to disassemble this guy, if you look in there, you can see there is a lever right there. To disassemble it, what we need to do is press down on that lever and then lift up on our safety selector till it's 90 degrees. Then we can just pop out the right side safety selector here. Come over to the left side and lift this one out as well. So we can pull that guy out, at which point we can go ahead and remove our trigger group, so that just lifts straight out of the housing here. Now the Navy style of trigger group is different than the SEF style and not interchangeable, but this will fit in all of your Navy style trigger housings. Other than that, it's pretty standard HK trigger group. So of course it's going to have a different ejector as well as a different hammer spring in there from an MP5 one. But if you swap those out, this should fit in most of your MP5 trigger groups as well. Now I will go ahead and show you reassembly on this guy too, since it's a bit different. So we'll go ahead and just drop our trigger pack. And so it is flush in there so we can see all the way across. Then what we need to do is take our right side safety, or excuse me, left side safety selector, and we're going to put it in till it's, so it's essentially 90 degrees, the same way we take it out. We're going to hit that lever again, and it will let us pop it in all the way. Then we're going to take the other side here, and just pop it right into the trigger group, and it will pop into place there, at which point we can go ahead, hit that lever again so you can kind of see it in there, and then pull back on our safety selector, and it takes a little bit of force, but then it'll go ahead and pop into place, and it is back together. So a little bit more of a pain than the SEF trigger groups, but still pretty doable. Coming back to the receiver, we can go ahead and pop out our bolt carrier group. Just grab your charging handle up here, break it free, break those rollers free, pull it back a little bit, and then it will go ahead and slide out the rear. Next step is going to be disassembling our bolt carrier group, which is pretty easy to do. What we need to go ahead and do is rotate the bolt head. So just grab it and rotate it clockwise. You'll see it popping out here until it rotates all the way around. And then once it's on the other side here, we can just pull it right off of our locking piece. So we'll go ahead and set that guy aside for now. To get our locking piece out of there, we're going to rotate it until it gets to its disassembly notch, and then it's just going to pop right out the front. So we can pull that guy out, and you can see this is a standard HK style of locking piece. Not entirely sure the number of this off the top of my head, but it does seem pretty well made. Now we can go ahead and pull our firing pin and firing pin spring out the front of the carrier. Nice and easy to clean off. We can go ahead and set those guys aside. Now looking at the carrier, you can see we do have this little knurling here. That's actually essentially your forward assist. So if the bolt is slightly out of battery, then you can just get a little traction there and press it forward. And then one of the most annoying parts of this is going to be the anti-bounce lever here. So that is a safety mechanism to make sure that Particularly in full auto, it can't fire out a battery. It's going to hold it forward, and so when it goes home, it can't bounce backwards while the hammer is hitting it, and you don't have an outer battery discharge, which makes it a bit more of a pain for the reassembly. But setting that guy aside, looking at the bolt head, this is a standard HK style bolt head. It's just bigger than the MP5, but we have our bolt face here with a channel for the ejector, as well as a claw extractor right here, and our rollers on either side of that guy. And real quick, I'll show you the reassembly on this, because this is one of the more annoying parts of having a G3 or an HK33 style of rifle. And we'll go ahead and just throw our firing pin and spring in there, and then we have our locking piece. If you look at the front of the face here, you can see the little notch there, where the corresponding notch here on the locking piece is going to fit in. So if we slide that over the firing pin, we can press that in right there in the notch, and then eventually it takes just a little bit of force. It'll go ahead and line up in there. Then we want to go ahead and rotate it clockwise until you can see right here there's a little window, and you want to see that metal piece right there lining up in that window. Now what we can do here is take our bolt head, have it going upside down so the top of the bolt is facing towards you when you're holding it like this. Then we're going to go ahead and slide that over our locking piece. You want to give it a little tap so that it is exposing the rollers there. Then we want to go ahead and start rotating it. It's going to pop forward a little bit. Keep rotating it. And then eventually it's going to pop back into its forward position. Just make sure the bolt is all the way forward. And this is fully reassembled and ready to go back into the rifle. Now, just taking a look at our receiver here, you can remove the handguard if you want to. It's not necessary at all. There's no gas system in here, nothing underneath except the barrel that you would really need to clean it all. So you can leave the handguard on there. This one's a bit of a pain to remove because it does have a screw in there. But coming back to the receiver itself, you can see there is actually more room here because of the larger magazine to get into your roller recesses, which are right there in the trunnion to be able to clean everything off. Back here, it's about the same as an MP5 to clean off the internal rails that are made by these indentations. But coming over to the charging handle up here, you can see it does just slide up in this channel up here and then lock up in that famous HK position up here. But we can go ahead and slide that guy forward, and there's really nothing else that you're going to have to do here. You can see there is the full auto bolt carrier block here in the back of the receiver, which is typical for the Century MKE guns. All right, guys, and there's the Century Arms AP53 field strip. So thank you for checking out the video. Please like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and I'll see you in the next review and disassembly video.